Hello everybody, it's Doug the 2-Minute Gardener. A month ago I did how to do a paver walkway. Now it's time to do how to do a paver patio. So this is a large patio that we did, 2,100 square feet of pavers. This is what it looked like before. It was quite a mess of dead plants, decomposed granite, on a whole lot of weird trees and just a giant mess. So here are all the steps we did for creating this wonderful big patio. First, of course, is demolition. Bring in the baby bobcat, scrape out the old. They actually had a small little paver patio off of their California room, but that was not laid terribly well, and they wanted a new color scheme anyway. So first up, we're going to scrape all that out, get rid of all the vegetation, all the extra material, and remove about 10 yards of soil to get the grade down. So once that was done, it's time for a big red hose day. Yeah, as you've seen in lots of other videos, I love using these big red hoses to lay out an area. Now this was a very large backyard, so we laid out one to signify where the artificial turf is going to go, and the other to show where the paver is going to go. And that way the client had a better idea to visually see how large a patio is. We also used some pipes to kind of lay out where the outdoor kitchen was going to get installed. Once that's all down, then it's time to bring in a lot of crushed gravel. So this is the road base that's used to establish the sub base for the paver patio itself. Now it's also really important when you're doing a paver patio that it drains either away from the house or drains directly to the drains. You do not want water pooling up toward the house. And for this, the guys used the laser level to make sure they mark exactly where everything is in the backyard relative to the back door of the house. And that way they'll set up stakes with these marks everywhere in the patio and then establish string lines, which helps lay it out. Now, one thing I didn't get, but it's important to understand, so I'm going to go back to the paver patio, is once you've laid out all where the patio is going to be in the grade, you want to compact it with that plate compactor. So here's all that road base now freshly compacted and cracked down to be really nice and firm for the next step, which is the leveling sand. So this is leveling sand laid out all over the place. And again, the way they do a patio of this size is they actually use pipes that go right to the stakes that show exactly what the level should be. And then again, we'll use string lines to make sure that everything slopes away from the house and toward the drain lines or toward the planter beds. For this particular project, we use Angelus oaks, patio pavers, and this particular color is called Courtyard Gray Pewter. This is a really wonderful one from Angelus, and it is a really nice paver. Now that the leveling sand is all laid out, the guys are now laying the field pavers. And the field pavers are basically all the pavers in the middle. And the nice thing about pavers is they generally come in 3 or 4 different sizes. Now, Courtyard by Angelus comes in 4 different sizes. So you can do about 6 different patterns with that. This one was a modified herringbone pattern, as you're going to see later in the video. And once you've established the pattern, it goes pretty quickly. Now, as they're laying the pavers down, they occasionally will tap it in and also make sure that they see that it's leveling out. You can see where the pipes were. Again, they're trying to level everything toward the stakes, which shows where the flower beds are, or toward those white pipes, which shows where the drains are. So laying out the field part is pretty quick, but at some point you get to the edges, and that's when you're going to start doing some cuts. And so because I'm a designer who loves curvy patios, they have to just do an awful lot of cuts, and that's needed because at the edge of a paver patio are the soldier course, which is set in concrete. So here's another example of a patio edging. So that's what it looks like before, and this is what it looks like after. Now it's all trimmed and cleaned and ready for that soldier course. So the soldier course, or the sailor course, depending on your preferences, but this is a soldier course, what you're looking at right now. And we did it in a different color. We did, this one is pure charcoal gray, no pewter mixed in. And so that's why the pavers look a little bit different. This actually gets set in concrete. And this is really important that you set your edge course in concrete, because that locks everything in. As that concrete hardens, it means that the pavers all throughout the field are not going to move. You have to set your edge course in concrete. And that's why it's much more time consuming. So here you see I have a two-man team. One guy laying the concrete, another one fitting the pavers. Once you've done your edge course, either a sailor course or a soldier course, then it's time for the polymeric sand. So for 2,100 square feet of pavers, we needed 21 bags of polymeric sand. Now, each one of these bags is 50 pounds, so if you do the math, that is a whole lot of heavy sand to move around. Now, polymeric sand is different than leveling sand. Polymeric sand is what's used to actually lock each individual paver in place. And so it's kind of a four-step process to put the polymeric sand on. One, it's very, very important that you do this when the pavers are completely dry. If any part of that sand gets wet, you're going to have issues with staining. So you can only sand pavers on very, very dry days. So you lay out the sand, you kind of roughly drop the bags and break them open all over the patio, and then you start using the push brooms to broom it all together. Once you've kind of broomed it all into every single crack, then you use that good old plate compactor again and really pound it down into every single crack. This took 3 days to do this particular patio, but this is what it looked like when it was all done, as far as the sand getting pounded down into every single crack. Now the next part, again, I didn't get on the day that they did it, so I'm going to go back to the paver video. Once you've pounded that sand into every single crack, then it's time to remove all the excess. Do not use a hose. You have to use a blower or just keep brushing and brushing and brushing. Again, you do not want to get these paver, the polymetric sand wet, because if it gets wet, it will stain the pavers. So you have to get rid of every single grain of excess sand. Once you have done that with the blower, then you actually get the hose and very, very lightly put water on it. This is the last step. You better be sure that everything's exactly the way you want it, because this water activates the polymeric sand, and this locks the pavers in. You have committed yourself to this layout. So here's what it looks like after it has been sanded and the water has set everything. The cracks look really nice. Everything's filled in. Now, most people, however, do one more important step, and that is when you're doing a paver patio, you want to add a sealer. A sealer is important because it helps to protect those pavers from any kind of staining. If someone drops juice or wine or something, it really does help. And so there's lots of different types of sealers out there. You want to make sure that you're using a masonry sealer for this particular type of product. And it does come in semi-gloss and gloss as well. And again, the idea is you want stuff to bead up nicely on the pavers itself. So make sure to seal your pavers. All right, here is that paver patio all finished. Again, 2,100 square feet. Notice the drains in the middle of the patio, so everything's going to slope toward either of those drains or toward the flower beds on the perimeter. And then we also added this large artificial turf area for the grandkids to play in. Well, I'd like to say a big thank you to Unique Landscaping. They did a fantastic job building this patio and everything else in it. There's quite a few other parts of this you'll see in an upcoming video. But Juan at Unique Landscaping and his crew did a great job. They're based right here in North San Diego County. Give them a call for your landscaping needs. And that's all the time we have for today. This is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, saying if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to get more of my garden videos. Until next time, this is Doug, the 2-Minute Gardener, saying thanks for watching.